In today's video, we're actually talking about the recent Clash Royale League last qualifier for the top 16 Clash Royale best players in the world. I had to win 7 best of 3s in a row. I cannot lose any single best of 3, otherwise I would have been out. Last chance for me, and I can tell you it's going to be insanely close, it's going to be insanely intense, and great decks plus great games. If you guys don't want to miss any CRL content in the future, want to see me compete against Mohammed Lights, Moogies, Lucas X Gamers, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Also use the critical mortar shop. Really supports me, really makes me supportive in a way, or that makes you support me in a way. I don't really know, like I'm kinda, man, this game, it's sometimes too much Clash Royale. Let's directly jump to the games. So guys, actually here we're directly starting into the semi-finals for the qualifications. So there was like the 6th game. I need to win 7 games in a row. If I lose 1 game, I'm out, and we're playing against one of the best players in the world, Capgun. So I actually have like an analyst, which is also an analyst or coach, better to say, from how is it called? From Mohammed Light. So he's like a really great guy, he's really solid, and he gave me like some decks and tips and tricks. Honestly, I don't really want to go too deep into my explanation about what I'm picking, but against Capgun, which was a really versatile player which played a ton of decks, I just want to play an overall solid deck which I feel comfortable with, which I have a ton of outplay potential, which I still have with this grey red deck, and which is kinda solid in the meta. So that was like the perfect deck, and I didn't play too often, was also for sure part of that. So I mean, I really had a really bad cycle, to be fair, so I need to go Tombstone on the left side. Here I'm just gonna wait until the Lavon dies. Playing a bowler here. Honestly, bowler did a really solid job just tanking away everything, because now I can go for arrows. I mean, I have good defensive ability, the only really, like, capability. I think the only really annoying thing for me is the flying machine, which is kind of annoying because I cannot really kill. I mean, I can go for snowball plus arrows, but it's kind of expensive. My main goal is building up a huge Skeleton King push, use the ability from the Skeleton King because he just has his own Skeleton King, and then go for arrows plus snowball most of the time on his tombstone. So this will be a game which I like playing as a just defend the full game and go for 1 kill push. So what means the 1 kill push? Just, yeah, get 1 push and win the game, basically. So he needs to go in for Skelly DC, I guess. So this is fine for me, because I know most of his stuff will die, and I can just easily go in for my Broda just to tank, and I know he cannot really drop anything, because if he goes Lava in the back, now I can just go directly with my Graveyard. So I think this situation I'm just gonna cycle here, because like I cannot go in for my Fair During when I don't have anything against the then I don't have anything against the Lava, so I'm just gonna cycle it in the back. He most likely drops this, so this is kind of annoying. Honestly, I think in this situation I'm just deciding to go really aggressive, because I know his cycle is kind of awkward, especially when he cycles his arrows now. I want to go for my Skeleton King early, because it takes all the skeletons, and now I'm getting really lucky, honestly, that the Skeleton King does what he had to do. Also, it tanks even more because of the Stappies resetting that Fair During, and this is exactly what I meant. We're getting so much damage, and this was the 1 kill push, which I was talking about earlier. Just 1 huge push, kinda cost him the game, and this is what the deck does. You're playing really defensive. If your opponent has Lightning, which most of the decks has, you have a great Lightning, you're getting really great Lightning counters. If you're playing any type of competitive game, it's the best of 3 dual format, so you can just use a card once. A ton of people will start with Archer Queen first, or use Lightning first, and this deck does really well, especially when your opponent is expecting you to use Archer Queen. So they're gonna use Lightning, you have an anti-Lightning deck, and then you have still Archer Queen. So he didn't use Lightning, but if he would have used Lightning, we would have had a great advantage, even if we would have lost the first game. Game number 2, we went also with a really solid deck, which as I said, really good. I think in this situation we went with Firecracker instead of Archer Queen, because we are thinking he's gonna use a Lightning deck, because he was using a ton of Mega and Lightning. He still had it open, so I was like thinking, okay, he might use Mega and Lightning, so we want to make sure that we don't use Archer Queen, because that would give him too much Lightning there. So he's gonna, this is always what you want to think. So in the first game, we didn't use Archer Queen, and we used the anti-Lightning deck. So because we used the anti-Lightning deck, we're gonna think, okay, in the second game he's gonna use Archer Queen, because in the first game we used our Lightning counters, and then he's gonna use Archer Queen because our lightning counters are out. So we're gonna expect him, because he knows that our counters are out, that he's gonna use Lightning. He used Lightning. So we're not gonna use Archer Queen and use a Firecracker instead. It's kind of complicated, but I think you guys kind of know what I'm saying here. So honestly, it was a really smart deck pick by him. I think the matchup is roundabout even, or he might have a small advantage there. But It 1% will be a really annoying game, just want to let you know, guys. So I'm just going for my log here, just cycling a log, getting trip damage in. So I think this situation I'm just going to go for my Hog Rider defensive here. Doing a good job. I think this situation I'm just going to go Skeletons here. Just want to make sure I'm going to kite this mortar, or like this hits. And yeah, just don't also give him EQ value, so I don't really want to play the skeletons into this EQ range. So this is just basically an EQ cycle game. This will be one of the most horrible competitive games you will ever see, but it's still important, right? People are always complaining about decks and competitive. I agree. I played earlier against a guy who went in the first game Golem, then in the second game Lava Clone, and in the third game Giant Skeleton Balloon Skeleking. And that was the closest best of 3 ahead, and it was like in the 3rd round. So this is kind of crazy, right? I won against Capcom, I won against really great players. But I almost lost against maybe not the best player in the world, right? Because it just, sometimes this tactic works, and I don't really enjoy playing against this type of deck. So I'm just gonna go for my EQ. The great thing is that he still needs to play something against this, so we're looking even, and we're still trying to get some more damage, right? We also want to pressure with the Hog Rider, which is kind of key in this matchup. So I'm just gonna go for my log here, and I think this is a good situation. I'm just gonna go in for this. I know he doesn't have his log and cycle yet, so he needs to go for defensive mortar once again. I'm just gonna use my EQ. I was hoping the Firecracker gets one shot that that he's still forced to play something against my mortar, but he doesn't. So we're kind of looking at even really great skeletons, by the way, kind of predicting for no reason. So I think this situation I'm just gonna go log here. I think I'm just gonna go Hog Rider, and I'm just gonna use another EQ here. So he's gonna NATO that. I for sure hope always that he's gonna mess up the NATO, but it was honestly a NATO. Maybe he didn't feel comfortable going for the King Tower activation, because you can easily do that because his King Tower wasn't too low. But it's fine, I guess. So this situation, I'm just gonna go Hog Rider. You guys will see there's gonna be one really crazy turning point in the game. So I'm just gonna go for my Q here. He needs to go Mortar, and he still needs to drop Skeletons. Otherwise, there would be one huge shot. So we're actually in a driver's position here. I'm just gonna go for my Firecracker here. I think I'm just gonna cycle Log and go for another Hog. I at least think that's the play. So I'm just gonna go for my Hog Rider here. I'm just gonna go for my Q here, and he goes NATO. So he got the perfect NATO placement. I'm just gonna go Knight here. I for sure want to make sure that his boy doesn't connect his Firecracker when he's played at the bridge. So I'm just go for my Log here. Then I go Skeletons first. Now I'm just gonna go Hog Rider here. I'm just gonna go drop my EQ first, and then go for a Log, because then I get like sooner in cycle. So he drops a really bad Tornado. So I'm just go for my Log here. In this situation, I'm just gonna go for a really bad cannon, and this cannon almost cost me the game, right? Look at this. This was so close. I didn't know how his mortar didn't get a shot here, so I'm just gonna go for the Q here. I'm just going for a Log here and trying to get a cycle on him. With this game, we're actually in the final, and this was also the final bracket. So this bracket decides who goes onto the next stage. I think it's a top 8 group stage, so like 8 players are competing. Against each other, playing around robin against each other, so it's a final bracket chance. I was playing every single day, at least 5 to 6 to 7 hours Clash Royale for those brackets. I lost 2 times in the final, but this time it had to be, right? If I wouldn't have qualified, it would have been heartbreaking. So this is the final game, the final best of 3. If I win, I'm in the next stage. If I lose, I'm out, and like all of my effort, didn't pay off. So here we go, final game against Lord Zeb. Honestly, a guy which I also beat in the earlier bracket stage, I think on the 2nd or 3rd day. I'm just gonna give him a cry mode. I don't know why, but yeah, just doing it because he also gave me an emote. So we're picking a Hog Rider cycle deck with Arch Screen. I mean, like, if you play against this kind of players, you know there's this chance that you get countered, but there's also a chance that you counter him. So always want to play safe decks. I like Hog, and I knew he started a ton of games with Graveyard. Also with his own Hog deck, and also Royal Giant, and he didn't really start a ton with Lightning. So because we can analyze that, we're going for Hog Arch Screen deck because it fits as best deck. So yeah, right now this is going to be key plays. So there are like 2 plays which you could do. You're going for a really like high delivery, and then you go for EQ plus Skeletons. But what I'm going to do right now, because Tom's out of hand, I knew there was a really aggressive Graveyard, I want to punish him. I want to get the early damage. I need to get the early damage against Graveyard, because this matchup is really good for me. I counter him that as long as the game goes, as worse the matchup gets. So I'm going for delivery here, and it was perfect elixir management. People are saying I'm washed. I mean, maybe I'm not as good as in my prime, but I still can compete against everyone. I mean, I'm top 16 in the world now if I win this game, so it's not too bad, right? I still think people need to try it against me. Actually, the only player who competed in 2018 at the top and is still on the top of the game. Which I don't really want to say I'm like the best guy ever, but just want to, yeah. Kind of proud of myself, right? That I was always like, that I was also competing 2018 in CRL, made it to a ton of World Finals, or like 19, 20, 21 World Finals, and still compete on top level. Nobody did it right now. So we just go for the Hawk aggressive here. This was perfect elixir management. I knew he doesn't have his Toms on hand. I knew he didn't have enough elixir. So going for the Q a bit later. And look at this, the Hawk Rider gets a ton of chip and we are actually in a 1k damage advantage. And even if we would have been down 2 or 3 elixir, that would have been okay, but we are not. So, actually fine. Actually, like, I need to really honestly say, there was like, this last couple of days were so tough for me. I like kind of have headache right now and feeling not too great, because I was like streaming and playing every single day, 5, 6, 7 hours, thinking about decks, thinking about strategy. The pressure was there, everybody. I mean, like 99% of the people are supporting me, right? And even if I'm like a long time in this business, still sometimes when I see comments like, yeah, you don't still know negative comments. It's still sometimes, especially when you lose like one stage before qualifying, as I did 2 times, it's really, 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 really hurts, guys. And I think you guys understand it. So I'm just gonna go for my Hawk Rider. I think defensively, honestly, another really, really good Hawk Rider. Using Hawk Rider as a defensive capability, or like defensive usage, and also getting 2 Hawk Rider swings on the tower. So I think this was one of my best games I ever played in competitive Clash Royale. Even though like looks not, even the game won't be close at all, I still think that's something I can be proud of. So in this situation, as you guys will see, this is gonna be a bit close, because I thought for 1 second Infinity connects, but I was scared. I was so scared, guys. I was really scared. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go for Archer Queen here. Archer Queen is putting in the work which we need. And I think I'm just gonna drop my Tesla high, I guess, like just in case he plays in Fair. I'm just gonna go for a perfect lock here, always getting chip damage. And every time I think he wants to graveyard, I'm just gonna go in for this Hawk Rider. So I'm gonna go for a really perfect Earthquake, and this allows me to get 1 shot. And now we just need 1 more Q lock, and we're actually 1 game away from the final, from the top 60 bracket, from stage 3 in the CL. Like, we need to get first to win, or like to go to Worlds, but we're like on our way. Let's do it, guys. So guys, here we're actually in the final game against Lord Zeb. It's a best of 3 dual mode, so you can just use any card once. So in this sequence, we kind of expected him to go in for Archer Queen. Yeah, this is kind of what I expected from him, because yeah, I don't know why, but we thought that he's gonna use Archer Queen. I mean, we were like, okay. He most likely plays a comfort deck, Royal Giant, Fireball. I mean, this is always great. This is always a great deck choice, right? When your opponent has like Poison out of cycle, or like Fireball cycle, Zappies are always great. So we really like to put in, or like my coach and me, we like to put in Zappies in this kind of situations. And because he also was a ton of times using RG Queen with Lightning. So actually the Zappies are really helpful. This is going to be a matchup where actually Mo was also on call at this point, and he was telling me that he thinks that Hawk Rider has the matchup. I kind of agree with him. I think the Hawk Rider play needs to be really, really well, because we have a ton of Hawk Rider answers, but also the ability. That's like the thing, which is like the best Hawks deck. I mean, Hawk Rider cycle. This deck has way more play to potential than my Mega Knight deck, right? My Mega Knight deck is kind of relying on opponents' mistakes. I mean, it's hard, it's easy to do mistakes against Mega Knight, like this type of Mega Knight decks. So that's why we most of the time seeing this deck winning, and this is why I kind of hate Mega Knight, because if you do one missile, slap up, you don't need to play better than your opponent. But if this Hawk Rider deck plays perfect, because I remember back then when this Mega deck was meta, Mo finished #1 in Wolf with this deck, and he always won this matchup, because the mini packer plus guards, it's really hard to break through. Also Ice Golem does really, really well, and basically just the EQ cycle does really, really well. So he just goes in for that. That's honestly, this will be a perfect snowball timing. I was like really happy how I played there. I mean, the pressure is there, right? I had like 4.5k live viewers on my stream. I streamed every single qualifier live, which is also, yeah, I mean, different focus. Just want to mention that. Yeah, so I'm just going for this. I think he's just going to cycle the first EQ, and he can do that. That's what he can do. Also, like, Fire Spit is kind of annoying always, but if he plays it at the bridge. So yeah, I think the sequence, I'm just gonna go Mega Knight at the bridge. Mega is putting in some work. It's doing an okay job, I guess. Right now I'm just gonna take a lightning, which is great. Okay. Bandit is coming down. I think I'm just gonna go defensive ram here. Why not? I mean, the crazy thing is like how OP is Log sometimes. Like Log is real talk, sometimes really, really strong. So he's using his ability early at least. That's good for me because then I get a free ghost. And you need to be patient. This is honestly a really important tip, which I can give you generally if you're playing Clash Royale. And I know a ton of people are not doing. They're really panicking after being behind like 300, 400 damage and playing over aggressive, and then they're even more behind and they're playing even more aggressive. So wait, I'm gonna drink something. I hope you guys understand that. Woo! Short break. Sorry guys, it's really important that you believe in your deck and you know what to do in certain situations and you know how much damage you can take. Because, especially with bridge decks, it's always great when your opponent is pushing into you, because it's not like a golden deck where you need to commit like a Night Witch on top of a Hawk Rider. It's like you're committing a Ram Rider on top of the Hawk Rider and you still get a counter push of the Ram Rider. So every time your opponent pushes, I mean, I feel like I'm saying that for the 1 million time, right? But it's just the truth. You're playing a troop on defense and the troop on offense still counter push. If it's a Ghost, if it's a Mega Knight, if it's a Ram Rider, the troop is still counter pushing. So this is actually really important to keep in mind, that every time you're playing a troop on defense, the troop will still get value on offense. So I'm going for the lightning here on the mini pack. I was really aggressive, but at least we got the positive elixir trade out of this trade. So yeah, people would say lightning wasn't maybe good, but this was like now a really questionable Hawk Rider. He goes in with a really aggressive Hawk Rider here. We have kind of 2 maggots on the map, so I'm dropping my bandit like this because I thought maybe he goes for an Ice Golem Kite, but he didn't. So honestly, right now I'm just gonna go for a really good predictive snowball on top of the guards. But still, look at this. How is this just one shot from the Ram? It was like absolutely insane. So I'm just going for my Inferno in the back. He needs to go in for an Earthquake. It was kind of obvious, and we are really, really close here. So I'm just going to go for Magnet. That was honestly a really good Magnet because our other Magnet is still alive, and the Queen at the bridge will instantly die. Now I'm just going to go in for my mini pack. He's going for his mini packer high. I'm just going to go for a Snowball here. I'm also going just for lightning on nothing, just to get maybe one more Ram Rider hit. Keeping up the pressure. He goes in defensive Hawk Rider. The Mega Knight connects. GG's well played. That was one of the most important wins of my life. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Let me know in the comment section if you guys enjoyed this. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you guys don't want to miss any videos in the future. And I would say I'm out. Thanks for watching, and I love you guys. Goodbye.